subscribing to my channel, Mopod. First, before I start off, like always, I like to thank God for Jesus Christ here in my life. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. Thank you. We have a special guest today who would like to be anonymous, so I'm gonna use a fictitious name. Just gonna call her Love. Okay. So, first, Love, are you okay?
Yes, I am.
All right. So, Love, that's just a mental health check. Are she okay? So we're gonna be talking about molestation. Love has some experiences, so forgive us if we get a little emotional, everything. So, you sure you're okay to talk about this, Love?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to tell you a story. How old were you when you got molested?
15.
15?
Yep. That was the very first time I ended up getting molested.
By a friend, a relative?
By a relative.
A relative?
Yes.
What?
It was at the time, it was my sister's boyfriend. And he would end up coming in to my room throughout the night. And he would wake me up and he would pull me to the edge of the bed and do what he had to do. And this went on for about a year and a half. And then later on, my father passed away and my mother ended up meeting my now-to-be stepfather. And
They stay together?
Yes. And due to the fact that I was not confident enough to end up saying what I wanted to say to my mother when it happened, my stepfather would end up bribing me and would take me into the room and do what he wanted to do. And he would say, if you do this, I'll give you this. And I was very young at the time. I was, 15, 16 years old. I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't in an actual relationship.
These are the people you trusted and everything like that. And they influenced you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I am talking to them. And just like a regular person would, I've held it all in for this long, and they know what they've done. They do. But they just aren't willing to confess.
Do they still try to influence you at all?
They do.
To this day?
They do. They do.
How long did this happen with your brother-in-law, your sister's husband? How long did that go on for?
4.5 years.
Damn. Your sister don't know?
She kind of found out and everything, but she didn't think anything of it. We ended up having social services come over at one point.
Wow.
Everything was dropped and they didn't think anything of it. So it was just dropped. That's all it was. And with my father, my stepdad, nobody even knows about that at this point.
Not even your sister?
No. Not my sister, not my mom, nothing. Due to the fact that he's said things that he said, if you end up telling your mom, I will leave her and I will break her heart, and I don't want that for my mom.
And you don't want your mom to see unhappy or like you to cause of breaking up the family and stuff like that, and then you take the blame like it's all your fault.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I get it.
Exactly.
Kind of felt that way because I was molested too. I was raped by the girl and molested by her brother. Ain't that something? But anyway, it's not my story here, so I can understand what you're going through. It was another relative too, or just those 2 times?
Actually, my nephew.
Your nephew?
My nephew, come to think of it, most people are like, oh, well, you're so young now, Love. that, you know, I'm 21 years old and my nephew's 30 years old. And we ended up getting to talking when I moved back to the state. And once we got to talking, he came over one night and he laid me on my bed and he said, just close your eyes. That's what I want you to do, is close your eyes. And well, at the moment, I'm only 21 years old. And at the time, I was maybe 16, 17. And he said, close your eyes, and that was it. And that happened maybe 2 or 3 times. And that thing I actually ended up getting away from him doing that to me. I was able to break away from that, which I'm very thankful for.
Right.
But the other 2 past things, I'm still having a very difficult time working on. But I know it's going to take time. That's all it's going to do. It takes time, and I just want to thank everybody that's helped me through this. And there's not a lot of people that know about this. There isn't. It's only people I really trust about this, and I know that they've gone through the same exact thing that I've gone through. And I just hope they know that I feel for them and that I love them the same.
Right. I appreciate you sharing your story with me today. But I do believe the only way, because like sweeping something under the rug, people might come in the house, everything look fine, but it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's inside you. And I think the only way to get over it is to get rid of it, like bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
At your timing, of course, with prayer and ask God to lead and guide you I just have to tell your mom, you don't want her living. Think about it. She may have kids by this man or everything else, and she doing that to them.
Mm-hmm.
And she found out you knew all along, like, then you love me enough to tell me I love you more than him. You know what I mean? And so if he did that to you, she probably wouldn't want to be with him.
Yep.
You know? And I think sometimes, because some mothers, when their kids tell them they've been molested and stuff like that, the mom or the parent don't believe it. And that hurts even more.
Yep.
You know, so.
Exactly.
But at least you cleared yourself and got it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know they're going to have all these questions. Why you didn't tell me back then? How long this been going on? Stuff like that. So I just told my sister, this happened to me. I was like 7 years old. I just recently told my sister about 2 years ago. I'm 50 years old now. I kept it all the time because in my mind, I was going to kill this dude. I seen his sister a couple of times. It was a girl, so it wasn't a big deal, you know. But for him to have me, it's really hard for it to come out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Take your time. Take your time. It's okay.
He sort of like threatened my life if I didn't perform oral sex on him. I was 7 years old, between the ages of 5 and 7. I don't know how old he was. I know he was an adult. And behind my mother's house, we had a gangway behind there. And I was afraid. I was truly afraid. And I don't remember the act itself, but I remember he pulling it out. I don't. That's disgusting. I want to throw up. But
that's the thing that everybody, that's even like me, you know, once they end up having you in their grasp and they pull it out or do whatever, you stiffen up. That's all you can do. You can't do anything else. In your mind, you're screaming, you're yelling, you're doing everything you possibly can, but it cannot get out of your mouth.
Yep.
And then the next few days, you just don't want to tell anybody because you're so scared. Because if you tell somebody, they're going to end up coming back and hurting you.
Yep. And I didn't have any friends. But I know it's not my interview, but I agree with you on everything that you're saying. A few days after that, his sister, her name's Lisa, and she ended up taking me to our doghouse, and She was older than me. I ain't know what I don't know nothing about this stuff. And she said, lay down. And she did all the stuff to me. And it was crazy. I seen her in my adult years. She still kind of like want me now and stuff like that. But we never talked about that. I said, well, where your brother at? Because I really want to kill dude. I prayed and prayed. I looked for this dude. I was going to murder him. Seriously. And the God delivered me from it. I don't feel like I want to kill him no more. He probably dead now anyway. You know, I hope, well, that's just I hope so. But you know what I'm saying. When you was going through that, did it affect your relationship? I know you're married now and everything.
Yes, it did affect my relationship.
It did?
It did.
How so?
It was very hard for me to have intimacy.
Wow.
And it was even him seeing me naked, it was very difficult because I'm used to, well, I'm not used to, but I was used to getting my clothes basically
Forced off or taken off under duress or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, not willingly.
When I was married to my husband, he had no clue what was happening or what even happened, because even as I was married to him for the first few months, it was still happening.
Really?
It was.
With the stepdad?
Yes.
Wow.
And I was told to keep my mouth shut. And if I didn't keep my mouth shut, then there was going to be consequences. Which I had a thought where, you know, what kind of consequence could there be? Right. What's the worst consequence you can possibly make? Because you're going to be the one that ends up getting in trouble because you're the one that's doing this to me. And he ended up telling me, you know, it's on you, because I'm going to tell your mother that you wanted it, and you're going to end up losing your mother, and you're going to end up losing your whole entire family, because you're the one that wanted it. You're young and dumb. You're, 16, 17 years old? You're young and dumb, and that's what you wanted.
Wow.
And at that point, I was locked. I was locked in. I was cornered. Right. I could not say anything. All I could do was allow him to do what he wanted to do, and that's it.
Do you have a close relationship with your mom?
I do not. It is it's half and half. We get along, but we are not there for each other. We don't talk to each other a lot. I have a sister. She talks to her every day, probably 10 times a day. Compared to me, maybe once a day. And that's the only time. We are not close. We don't hang out. We don't bond like her and my sister do. Me and my father were the only one that ended up bonding. But obviously my father's passed now, so.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. So, at any time that you was like looking forward to it, or did it become like an addiction to get something forced upon you? Or did you turn to drugs to help you cope? Take your time.
The one thing that I ended up turning to when this whole thing ended up happening, because it all started, my father passed away, and then my sister and her boyfriend were living together, and then he'd end up coming into my room throughout the night and everything. Ooh. And then my stepfather ended up coming into the picture. And at the time, I was still in high school. It was so much. And I ended up turning to alcohol. I was a full-blown alcoholic. I would wake up in the morning, take a few shots. Even during school, I'd end up fucking pounding those shots. Even when I got home, oh, good night, Mom. Have a nice night. See you in the morning. Oh, I'd stay up all night drinking a bottle of wine, whiskey, whatever I could get my hands on, because I wasn't even old enough to buy alcohol. But god damn it, if I had to burn down something or if I had to rob a place or anything, I'd do it.
Wow.
And that was first off due to the fact that my father died, the one person that cared about me most. And then after everything that happened, and still to this day, I do have alcohol problems. I do. And I am trying to work on it, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time.
Right. I think the first step, though, just my opinion, is to, because you're not going to be able to handle the alcohol issue without handling what caused you to have the alcohol issue. I think the first step is to confessing to whoever you need to confess to what happened, regardless of the outcome, because you're suffering from it, they're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Them sick individuals, forgive them for yourself, but I will let it be known whether they believe it or not. And if I have to not go around a family, then I need to not go around a family to protect yourself. So that way you can be all you need to be, the wife or your husband. And I would definitely let your husband know if I were you. You know, it's not easy to be vulnerable. It's not easy at all. They take a lot of strength. And you're strong. You know, this is the first step right here, right now. Now, I know it's difficult to talk about it. Because when you talk about it like that, your mind goes back to as though it's here again. The emotions come back, and that's sad, and that's tough.
Yeah.
That's real tough. Tears
and
get
even
flowing.
even when I see her every now and then, it's the first thing that comes to my mind, because he comes walking out right next to her, and it's like, you don't realize what you've done to me,
Right.
and how much you've actually hurt me.
Right.
You might have thought that I liked it. Yeah, I was playing the game so I wouldn't have ended up getting smacked,
Right.
or punched or
murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I was playing the whole damn game just for you.
Yep. And then people say, oh, she had an alcohol problem. Well, you don't know why I have an alcohol problem. You know what I mean? They quit the judge and stuff
Exactly.
like that. And not loving you the way they should be loving you to find out what's really going on.
Yep. Every single time I go to the store, they're like, oh, you're going to go buy alcohol. Oh, well, you don't realize what I've actually gone through. So, it's my life. And, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How do you let go of somebody that you care about so much?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know how to let go of someone who I love so much. I just have to pray about it, ask God to help me deal with it and help me to let it go. Because I don't have the strength of my own self to just walk away with something you love. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like saying I would rather go ahead and die than just walk away and leave me. Because I don't know how. Being with you hurts. But I don't know how to let go either.
But do you think walking away is the best?
Nope. Depends on the situation, I guess. If it's like what you're dealing with, I would have to release it by letting everyone know who's directly affected to them. And if most likely, they will leave me alone. If they don't believe me, whatever, they start talking to me, or I can just not go around. It's like they say, love from a distance, or I feed you with a long handle spoon. You know what I mean? And most cases, they leave me alone. Because it's one thing to love genuinely. It's another thing to love your love is not genuine. If they just can do that and not listen to you, their love for you is not genuine. But they will find out, because I've noticed. People like that always go through it again, and they're going to eventually find out. Because what's in the dark does come to the light, whether now or later. And when it do come to the light, they say she was right all along. Then they're going to come back and apologize to you. But you have to, for the sake of yourself and your future kids and your husband and your life, you cannot keep that in. It's a cancer. Because after alcohol will come another drug to deal with, and another one. Well, the alcohol can get so bad now it's affecting your kidneys and your liver. Next thing you know, you've been passed away with a story untold. It's almost like I have an infection. I don't want to let the doctors know. I want to be healthy. But then the infection going to grow in you, and you die, which your life could have been saved if you only just said something.
I definitely agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know it's easier said than done.
It's going to take time.
It's going to take time.
Yes.
It has been years, and a lot of people I talk to who've been through it, they just can't talk about it. It's too damaging.
And it's very unfortunate that, well, I shouldn't say unfortunate, but I'm 21 years old. You know, I still have my whole life ahead of me.
Right.
I've gone through hell and back.
Right.
But I think it's time I need to put my foot down,
That's
move
right.
on,
That's
and
right.
keep on going.
That's right.
And, you know, it's going to take time.
It's going to take
is.
time.
But one step at a time.
That's right. It's like take the baby steps. Eventually you'll get there. One step at a time towards that direction. And eventually you'll get there.
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee you what's been happening. They've been talking. Either your sister, either you said your nephew, either your nephew, the stepdad, or your brother-in-law or something. One of them had a discussion for one of them to feel comfortable enough trying to do that to you. Yep. And it's a shame. I'm sorry it happened. But pray about it. Put God first and acknowledge Him in it and ask Him to lead and guide you how to get over this. And even if you have to write it down, dear mom, send an anonymous letter or something to her house. Whatever it takes to get it out of you, get it to them. I would do it.
Definitely.
And if you need me there by your side, I would be there. If you need me to tell her, I would tell her.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All right, well, do you have anything to add before we close out?
I just pray that God helps me out, and I pray every day, and I'm just thankful that I am able to tell my story.
It's good. I'm glad you did here on the Mopie Show. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening in. Please share if you could and subscribe, and we got more coming. Thank you.